Hi, I'm Izzy, and welcome to Day One Chat Free Yourself from Guilt, Shame, and Blame. This is Balanced Goddess, and this program is designed to help you become a balanced goddess. So let's start with talking about why Balanced Goddess. And yes, I will probably say this in every video because it takes a while for this to really sink in. The reason why we're using goddess is this sense of channeling your highest self, pulling in and trying on that energy of being a goddess. The more and more you can tune into that energy, the more and more you'll rise into that energy and then be able to stay in it and hold it. Still takes practice, and throughout this whole process is definitely a ton of personal growth and spiritual development. So that's what the Balanced Goddess program is about. Today's chat is about guilt, shame, and blame. So what is guilt, shame, and blame? Well, it is a product of judgment. And so as we start to honor our judgment and recognize and bring awareness to it, we can also see that judgment is also what provides separateness. And to channel your goddess, or whatever word works best for you, in this program we use goddess, it's to recognize that you are a divine creature, that you are a spiritual creature, and that as a goddess we are channeling in our highest self, not only for ourselves in our own life, but also to help others, because we want to help lift others up and bring them back to oneness as well. Now, just because we judge, that is not make us any less than. That's just a human quality. It's a survival technique. And as we can bring attention and awareness to that as well, that'll help us in the healing and coming back to oneness. So we do this a lot to avoid pain. Maybe we judge someone to distance ourselves from them so that we can avoid pain. Or we might also do it because it's a learned technique that we've picked up from our parents or another adult when we were younger. And so that when we can start to heal this and we can get out of this sadness and almost depression state, that we can come back into our oneness and our divineness. So let's talk about energy, because anytime we're talking about evolving ourselves developmentally or also spiritually, there's always energy involved. So when we're talking about energy, there is the past, the present, and the future. And each one of these carry their own energy as well. So you might notice when we're talking about guilt, shame, and blame, we tend to have a low frequency. It tends to make us tired. But it's also because we're in a low frequency, and it's in a fear frequency. When we go too far into the future, that frequency starts to speed up, and it's way past this harmonious high frequency. It is where we're almost shaky and we can't even entertain so many thoughts, and we become frazzled and fragmented, and then we also might fall asleep. That happens with a lot of people. But what we're really hoping to achieve is this harmonious balance when we can feel the flow moving through us of love, hope, faith, spirituality. Anything is possible. And that allows us to become this abundant mindset, but also this balanced goddess. And this is why it's so important for us to talk about this every single time, so that we can start to awaken to this and really shed light on our energy and our frequencies within each area. So my experience with this is, I come from a family where complaining is definitely something that is in our genetic coding. Does that mean that I get to use that as an excuse to not evolve? No. It means that I had to shed light on this, and this was a huge evolution stage for me. So I was with someone who was constantly complaining as my life partner, and it got to the point where I was then complaining about that person all the time. And I felt like this was my way of fitting in. And of course, I didn't realize that at the time. This was my way of trying to seek sympathy and seek fitting into the group because I thought it was entertaining. And what I didn't realize was that there was all of this pain and suffering was bubbling up in the form of blame and almost shame. And when I was doing that, I was limiting myself, I was holding myself down, and it was really shed to light by someone I was in a class with, and they were like, wow, did you ever realize that you complain just as much? And I'm so thankful for that person. It bit and it stung when they said that to me, but it really was this pivotal moment in my life that I realized I really needed to pay attention to how much I was complaining. So often we see in others what we are doing ourselves. So what others are doing, our outside reflection, is an opportunity for us to look within and say, do I do that? Does it irritate me because I'm also doing that? So the cure to this, metaphorically speaking, how we create this healing process is to come back to oneness. When we can come back to oneness, and like Rumi says, a drop in the ocean, we are just but a drop in the ocean, and we're seeking to put our drop back into the ocean. We are separate and we're coming back into oneness. And for some people that can be a scary thing because they're so separate and they like their uniqueness, and you don't lose your uniqueness, right? But you allow yourself to become whole. And as you become whole, you feel this oneness, you feel this freedom. And throughout that process, we release the attachments. So guilt can be something that maybe we did as a child and we don't feel worthy. Maybe we've done something as an adult and we don't feel enough. And so we're attached to these ideas of what worthy and what enough is. And as we can release those, we can release all of our strings and our cords, we can allow ourselves to come back into oneness. But to do that, that beginning stage is first awareness. And that is watching every time we're judging. Watching every time you're judging and allowing yourself to view that without judgment itself. Bringing compassion, saying, well, I'm just doing this because maybe it is that I feel sad, or maybe it is that I'm hurt. What feeling or emotion behind that needs to be honored? So remove the guilt from wanting time for yourself, because in that time for yourself is when the healing takes place. When we can start to find this healing, not only are we healing for ourselves, but we're also healing for other people, because we want to set boundaries. And as we set those boundaries, we're also teaching others. So as we take care of ourselves, we're teaching our children, our friends, our family, that healing the self is not selfish. So shift into being a confident goddess who claims her right to find the time to enjoy the activities that light you up. Isn't that what you really want? You want the happiness, you want to feel the passion and excitement in life, you want to feel your purpose. So find the activities that light you up, mind, body, and spirit, so that you can move through life with joy